welcome. My name's Sam and this is A Little Greenhouse Creates. Thank you for joining me today and welcome to our final card for DSP week. It is a funky fold as it is a Friday, but what I've done this week, if you haven't caught Mondays or caught Mondays and Wednesdays videos, I've taken scraps of pieces of DSP and rather than throwing them away, I have turned them into cards. However, this is another dilemma I have occasionally. So the Lovely Blossom papers that I'm going to use today, which is one of these pictures is here, comes with a page like this of cards and then a few more other cards down here. And then you've got the paper on this side. Now, I've used this side of the paper for my cards, which is beautiful. But then I was stuck with, well, what do I do with these? They're ideal if you are a scrapbooker. You can add them into your designs and everything. But sometimes they just get left aside or people just refer to this paper because they're not sure what to do with these. So I have taken, as you can see, I've taken one of those. Oh, hello. Try that. I have taken these two. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this one off and we're going to turn that one into a card as well. But it's going to be a funky fold card like this one. Okay, so let's bring in the supplies. They're quite easy. So I have got a piece of crumb cake. Now that measures 8 inches by 5 3/4, scored and burnished at the 4-inch mark. I have a piece of old olive, which is 3 3/4 by 5 1/2, and that's going inside. And then I have a white piece again going inside, which is 3 3/4, so it's 3 1/2 by 5 1/4. Right, I've also got a sentiment strip, which is 3/4 inch by 3 1/2, and then a white piece, which is 1/2 inch by 3 1/4, and of course that will sit on like that. So what we need to do, I'm actually going to leave the stamping to last. We're going to do a bit of cutting. So here we go. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our 8 inch by 5 3/4 cardstock. We've folded it. The front piece we're going to cut 1 inch off, just 1/2 inch off. There we go. And we're just going to cut it off. Be brave, so that when the card is over, you've got this gap here. Okay. Do not throw this away. We need it. Okay, so let's put that aside. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this strip along the 5 3/4 inch layer, and we're going to score it at 3 3/4, like so. Okay, and then that bit here is going to fold back on itself. Right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our piece of DSP. So this is the card I'm going to use. I'm just going to cut that down, save that one for another card. And now I've got this piece. It's too big for what I need it to be, so I need to cut it down to 3 1/2 by 5 1/4. So at the moment it's 4 inches. So if I take off 1/4 inch off this side, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to take the 1/4 inch off this side first of all and just see how close. Yeah, that's fine. And then I'm going to turn it around and move it to 3 1/2 and take the 1/4 inch off. So now it is the 3 1/2 that I require. What I'm going to do now is I need to do it to 5 1/4. So I'm going to turn it. It is already, oh, it's already 6 inches. So let's take it down to 5 1/2. There we go, take that bit off. And then I'm going to move it and turn it to the 5 1/4 and take that bit off. So we now have the piece of Designer Series paper that is 3 1/2 by 5 1/4. So that's perfect. Right, so we now have all our pieces and we can put them together. Right. Now there is a blue markings in this, which is the Secret C. I'm going to use the Secret C to stamp the happy birthday sentiment on the front. So let's do that. Okay. Pop it across the top. There we go. Happy birthday. Wonderful. Move that side. So it's now a case of putting the card together. So this really is a very quick funky fold. And you can do it with many pieces of cardstock, or sorry, DSP focal images like this. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to put the glue on the section that didn't measure 3 3/4, so that'll be the 2. And we're going to put glue on that. And there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to aim for my happy birthday to be slightly lower to the back, sorry, to the end. So rather than being all the way at the top or in the middle, I'm putting it in the section here. I'm just going to get my bone folder. I just want to draw a line under that because there we go. I must change my blade. It seems a bit, and that will come over like that. Just make sure it's straight because you don't want it to be wibbly wobbly. There we go. Right, so that now can be glued and put inside the card. So that will sit on the inside layer. It will secure down, but it will give you that bit that's the flop or the flap section. Okay, there we go. So the next thing we can do is we're going to put our white piece in. And I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal for that. There we go. And I'm going to pop that in and make sure that I have got it centered. Now the reason I'm doing it this way is once that piece of paper is in, you're going to fold this over. This piece is going to come on the front, but it will cover up the white section, so all you can see is the green around the edge. Okay, so that's why I've done it that way. So turn it over. So I've literally flipped it upside down rather than from side to side, so I know where my glue is going to go. So obviously the glue is only going to go on this section here. Okay, and then you can flip it back. Make sure it lines up with your white, covers up the white so it doesn't see it poking through. There we go, cross. There we go. Give it a little bit of a press. Make sure it hasn't eased over the other side, so it hasn't, so that's good. And then what we can do, the flap will come over. We're then going to put our green piece on there and then our white piece with the sentiment on there. What might be easier is to actually stick your white sentiment strip to your green before you add it to your flap. That's straight. A little bit of a tug. There we go. Right, and then that'll go down there and go over the top like so. Just make sure it's straight. Don't want it to be wobbly. Okay, now that is quite nice. But what I'm going to do, for me, it's a little bit plain, so I'm going to bring in my dewdrops and add a bit of bling to it, just to help it lift slightly. So I've got two options. I can use the green or I can use the blue. So this is, colour they said it is. They haven't. So I know that's the Secret C, so I would imagine that that is going to be like an old olive. So I've got two options, or three options, because there's a clear one there as well. So let's say, I think I'm going to bring the blue in, and I'm going to use the largest ones. That way it not only picks up the blue from the flowers, but it picks up the blue from the sentiment. And as you can see, just by putting one in already, it's made it pop. It's amazing what bling can do. 2 and then one last. And I'm going to put that one there. Perfect. And there we go. Very quick, very simple, but effective way of using those cutouts from your designer series paper, that if you didn't want to use the reverse, you could always use the pretty section. So there you go. So thank you ever so much for joining me for this week of DSP. It's a new one I've done. We'll be back to our stamp set of the week next week, so do join me then. Take care and have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.